Today we're diving into Israel, a place where ancient history and the absolute cutting edge of technology live right next to each other. It's a land of incredible contrasts, and we're going to try to understand what that really means.
And this, right here, is the central paradox of Israel. On the one hand, you have the actual stones of ancient history, the very bedrock of major world religions. But on the other hand, you have this skyline that is just buzzing with digital innovation. They call it the startup nation. So how do these two completely different worlds manage to thrive in the same tiny space? Well, that's the big question we're tackling.
So first things first, let's get our bearings. Before we can get into all the complexities, we've got to start with the fundamentals, the lay of the land.
Okay, so Israel is a pretty small country. To give you some perspective, it's roughly the size of New Jersey, but it's home to about 10 million people. It's sitting in a really pivotal spot in the Middle East. Its official name is the State of Israel, and its capital, Jerusalem, is a city that holds just immense significance for people all over the world.
Now, if you really want to get a feel for Israel's identity, you have to look at its people. It is the world's only Jewish majority state. That's a core part of its identity, but it is not at all a monolith. As you can see here, it's actually a very diverse society, with large communities of Muslims, Christians, and Druze, all creating this really complex and fascinating social fabric.
And just a few more key facts to round out the picture. The official language is Hebrew, but Arabic is also a recognized language. The currency they use is the Israeli new shekel. And check out this last number, a literacy rate of almost 97%. That points to a really deep-seated focus on education, which, as we'll see, is a huge reason behind all that innovation.
All right, now that we have the lay of the land, let's start to peel back the layers of time. The history here isn't just old. It's ancient. And believe me, every single major event from the past continues to echo into the present day.
Even the country's name goes way, way back. It comes from the biblical prophet Jacob, a hugely important figure in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, who was given the name Israel. The story goes that it was after he wrestled with an angel. So that single name really anchors the nation's identity in thousands of years of tradition. This timeline really hits on some absolutely crucial moments. We start way back, around 1000 BCE, with King David making Jerusalem his capital. Fast forward more than 1,000 years, and the Roman Empire, after putting down a Jewish revolt, actually renames the whole area Syria-Palestina. Then, modern history kicks into high gear. On May 14, 1948, the modern state of Israel is declared, which immediately triggers the First Arab-Israeli War. And then comes 1967, a really defining moment, the Six-Day War. It ends with Israel occupying the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem, territories that are right at the very heart of the conflict today.
Now, to understand this modern conflict, you absolutely have to know the key players. One of them is Hamas. It's a Palestinian, Sunni Muslim organization, and it has both a political wing and a military wing. Their stated objective is to create an independent Palestinian state. It's also critical to note that it has been designated as a terrorist organization by a number of countries, including Israel, the US, and the European Union.
Okay, let's shift gears from that really complex history to the land itself. For such a small country, Israel's geography is just incredibly diverse. It creates this landscape that is every bit as varied as its past.
You can basically break the country down into 4 totally different zones. You've got the lush Mediterranean coastal plain, the rugged Central Hills, the dramatic Great Rift Valley, and then the huge Negev Desert stretching across the south. Each one is a completely different world.
And really, any tour of this land has to start in Jerusalem. It's just a spiritual epicenter for a massive part of the human population. I mean, think about it. Within walking distance of each other, you have the Western Wall, the holiest site for Jewish prayer, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where Christians believe Jesus was crucified and resurrected, and the Dome of the Rock, where Muslims believe the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. It's just unbelievable.
All right, so from one of the most spiritually high places on Earth, we're now going to the absolute lowest point on the Earth's surface. This number, -430 meters, that's the elevation of the Dead Sea. So what's the deal with the Dead Sea? Well, its water is just so unique. It's nearly 10 times saltier than the ocean. All that salt creates this incredibly dense water, which means you can just lie back and float without any effort at all. It's a pretty surreal experience.
Now let's head south, deep into the Negev Desert. And it is not just an empty expanse, it is filled with history. The most famous spot has to be Masada, an ancient fortress sitting on top of this massive rock plateau.
The views are incredible, and it's the site of a legendary story of resistance, which earned it its status as a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
And now, for a complete change of pace, we head to the coast, to Tel Aviv. This is Israel's modern, buzzing heart, a city of amazing beaches, fantastic nightlife, and culture. It's also famous for its architecture, specifically the White City, which is the world's largest collection of buildings built in that clean, functional Bauhaus style. And yes, it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So we've walked through ancient history, we've seen the incredible landscape. Now for our final piece of the puzzle, let's look at the engine of modern Israel, that dynamic economy and culture that earned it the nickname Startup Nation.
To really get Israel's modern economy, you have to know this term, Silicon Wadi. Now, Wadi is an Arabic word for a valley, so this is basically Israel's answer to Silicon Valley. It's the core of this amazing high-tech ecosystem that has made the country a true global leader in innovation.
And I bet you've used some of the tech that's come out of Silicon Wadi, maybe without even realizing it. A lot of us use Waze to get around traffic. Mobileye's driver assist technology is in millions of cars. The PillCam literally created a new way to do medical diagnostics. And drip irrigation has totally changed farming around the world. This is the kind of stuff coming out of that innovation hub.
So this gives you a great snapshot of what makes Israel's advanced market-based economy tick. That high-tech sector we've been talking about is obviously a huge driver. But you also have other major pillars, like its world-class defense industry, which itself creates a lot of new technology, and of course, a really strong tourism industry. And of course, you can't really get a sense of a culture without talking about the food, right? Israeli cuisine is this delicious mix of Middle Eastern and Mediterranean traditions. You've got world-famous classics like falafel and hummus, but also incredible dishes like shakshuka, that's eggs poached in this rich, spicy tomato sauce. It's absolutely a must-try.
And so, we end up right back where we started, with this powerful paradox. Israel is a nation that is defined just as much by its ancient past and its ongoing conflicts as it is by its relentless, forward-looking innovation. How it continues to manage that fundamental tension? Well, that's what will shape its